Today, you're about to witness a shocking process, the Mayville, but this is how it's done. And remember, this is a country known for industries to remarkable capabilities. That same raw power is reflected. The young workers begin rolling a sheet that is over 20. To manage this, they attach a heavy chain to the sheet, which is connected to a molding unevenly under its own weight. The process continues step by step, rolls the metal forward. At certain points, where a sharper curve is required, one of the workers stops. Once the longes are carefully aligned to form a complete cylinder, an expert welder then joins 4 mm thick, and under stress from bending, the welding is done slowly with multiple passes may be applied to fully secure the seam, making the after completing the rolling process, is raised from one side using a jack, allowing the sheet to be released easily. After that, a crane is used to carefully lift any damage. Head crane lifted the huge rolled section high into the air to form the tanker body shape. This heavy industrial process to ensure the massive steel parts fit together perfectly before welding and final assembly. To keep the massive round steel sections perfectly aligned during assembly, the workers welded small temporary iron pieces between both metal parts. These small position and gap between the two heavy sections. Process. One experienced worker tightens the massive bolts while before welding. This completely manual technique required great skill, teamwork, and physical strength, especially when assembling huge oil tanker bodies around the giant tank structure, and use manual grinders to clear it for the next stage of heavy-duty welding and finishing. The workers finally completed 2 massive cylindrical container parts. One completed container section was carefully laid down heavy support bars inside the giant container to keep both and aligned during assembly. These temporary lifting hooks that were welded earlier onto the container section. Now the most critical stage has arrived. Positioning both massive container shells with extreme accuracy before the final welding begins. The because even a small alignment mistake could affect the entire shape and joint gap from multiple sides. Temporary supports and clamps hold both sections steady as the final alignment. Now the final dish slowly moves toward the gigantic oil tank of the entire build. A small mistake in alignment could affect the shape, but it's designed to close the massive tank body and strengthen the structure against pressure and heavy. Many modern factories across Europe and America engineering, instead of expensive automated systems, workers use cranes, temper techniques to complete these enormous structures. Despite limited resources, painters through hard work and craftsmanship. Now the giant container has been completely joined together. The worker's container from damage or shape distortion, because even a small hard impact could affect. This giant oil tanker takes around 15 days to fully assembly work in harsh conditions. There's not a huge demand for such giant containers, so most were special order. Large companies often charge extremely high prices. Local engineering workshops and fabrication yards, experience, teamwork, and hard physical labor. The complete tanker, including steering, built almost by hand. Heavy steel sheets onto the roof of the giant oil tanker to give the massive structure its final shape and extra. Despite the massive investment, dangerous labor, and months of hard work behind this giant oil tanker, the owners never insure the container. It's still very limited. Most workshop owners believe their experience, welding strength, and traditional manufacturing costs. They trust the craftsmanship of their workers. Even these heavy-duty suspension brackets are completely custom made by local workers. No medical protection and no financial security. If a serious accident happens during welding, lifting, or fabrication, many of them could become permanently disabled without receiving proper compensation. In many developed, they have limited opportunities and little formal education. For many of them, they risk their lives handling heavy steel, welding equipment, and dangerous machinery delivery of these giant oil tankers. This giant oil tanker is almost completely custom made by loading brackets and support structure. After completing the tanker shell and unload thousands of liters of oil through thick industrial pipes, the engine draw liquid inside the giant container and later discharge it at fuel stations, factories, or sorted by hand to match the tanker's size. After installing the powerful diesel engine, the final transformation process begins, painting and finishing the giant oil tank of the entire build. Worker slowly turns into a professional heavy-duty oil tanker, ready for the roads. This coloring presentation, every section must be coated properly, because healing, lifting, and assembly is truly satisfying. After completing the painting process and company branding onto the massive oil tanker body, this step gives the tanker its full decoration. It is a highly sealed process that will also survive harsh weather, heat, dust, rain, and long-distance transportation across highways. What makes this work even more impressive is that most of these craftsmen learn through practical workshop experience, working for years under senior experts in many developing countries. These talented workers create professional. Despite this, they still manage to give these massive oil tankers a clean commercial look that can compete with expensive factory-made designs.